If you look at a map, Antarctica is just a white smear at the bottom, a blank space, a dead continent. But that's mostly because we're looking at the wrong layer. Beneath the ice sheet, the shape of the land is closer to a broken jigsaw of mountains, valleys, and old river basins. And beneath parts of that, there are places that haven't seen the sky in millions of years. Lakes, brine pools, and hidden waterways that only show up as tiny wobbles in the ice or faint signals in radar. If this wasn't on Earth, and someone told you there was a world of black water and buried chemistry under kilometers of ice, we'd call it an alien ocean. We'd point telescopes at it and send probes there. But this one is ours. It's just sitting quietly at the bottom of the map, under a sheet of ice we barely understand. In this file, we're going under the ice without leaving the planet. In the middle of East Antarctica, beneath almost 4 kilometers of ice, there's a lake the sky hasn't touched for at least 1 million years. It's called Lake Vostok. From the surface, you see nothing, just flat white ice and the wind. The lake was first suspected because satellites noticed the ice behaving strangely, a smooth, bulging area that didn't match the rock underneath. Radar pulses sent down through the ice bounced back from something flat and bright. Eventually, the picture resolved into a body of fresh water the size of a small country, sealed away in permanent darkness. Down there, the pressure is enormous. The water is close to freezing and cut off from sunlight, seasons, and weather. Sediment at the bottom may have been settling quietly since before humans existed. The walls are rock and ice. The ceiling is a frozen lid kilometers thick. Scientists have found hints of unusual microbes in the ice that refreezes above Vostok, fragments of life that seem adapted to cold, dark, low-nutrient conditions. But sampling the lake itself is a problem. If you drill straight in with normal equipment, you risk pushing down fuel, lubricants, and surface microbes into a world that's been sterile of human influence for over 1 million years. So we're in a strange position. We know this black, buried lake is there. We know it's big, layered, and probably not completely dead. But we've barely been allowed to touch it. It feels less like a scientific site and more like a locked room, one we've confirmed exists, measured from the outside, and then stood back from the door. If life can adapt to that, permanent night, high pressure, strange chemistry, then maybe what's waiting under other ice-covered worlds in the solar system isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. On the edge of Antarctica's Taylor Glacier, the hidden world under the ice actually leaks out where we can see it. There, in a landscape of white and blue, a narrow waterfall runs red down the face of the glacier and stains the ice below. It's called Blood Falls, and if you showed the picture without context, it would look like the ice itself is bleeding. Early visitors suggested algae or something growing in the water. The reality is both more ordinary and more unsettling. The source is a pocket of extremely salty water trapped under the glacier, brine that's rich in dissolved iron. As that brine slowly finds a path to the surface, tiny channels in the ice guide it out. When it finally hits air and light after its journey, the iron in the water oxidizes. It rusts, and the flow turns red. That underground brine is thought to have been sealed away for millions of years. It's cold, salty, and low in oxygen, a world where almost nothing should comfortably live. Yet tests on material from Blood Falls have found tough microbes scraping by in that hostile mix. Using chemical reactions, rather than sunlight as their energy source. So this isn't just a visual trick. It's a leak in the plumbing of Antarctica's under-ice world, a place where deep, ancient water and the life inside it are forced briefly into the open before the wind covers the stain with new layers of white. Lake Vostok and Blood Falls aren't isolated oddities. They're just the parts we've managed to notice. Radar surveys and satellite measurements suggest that beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, there are hundreds of subglacial lakes and interconnected channels. Some of them fill and drain over years or decades, rising and falling so subtly that we only see the effect as the ice above them lifts and sinks by a few centimeters. In other words, under what looks like a solid, frozen cap, there's a slow, hidden circulation of water. Lakes link to one another. Brines move, pressure builds and releases. The base of the ice is not a simple, static boundary. It's more like a patchwork of micro-environments, all pressed into the dark. And that's before you remember that Antarctica wasn't always like this. Geological evidence suggests it was once much warmer, with forests, rivers, and a completely different cast of life. As the continent drifted over the pole and the climate changed, that world was buried under ice, its shapes preserved, its low spots filled with whatever water could not escape. What we're looking at now is not just a cold desert. It's a frozen lid over an ancient landscape and its trapped, evolving chemistry. It's tempting to treat all of this as a curiosity, a list of strange Antarctic trivia, a buried lake here, a bleeding glacier there. But these hidden systems matter, both for our planet and for the places we dream of visiting next. For Earth, the water moving under the ice helps decide how and where glaciers slide. Subglacial lakes can lubricate, stick, or suddenly drain, changing the flow of ice and, over long timescales, feeding into sea levels and ocean circulation. The microbes we find in these extremes show us the outer edges of where life can endure, how little light, oxygen, or warmth you can get away with, and still call something alive. For space, Antarctica is a rehearsal. When we talk about the buried oceans of Europa or Enceladus, or thick ice caps on distant worlds, we're really talking about versions of what exists here in front of us. Black water under pressure, sealed for millions of years, with energy and chemistry, but no sun. If unique ecosystems can emerge under Antarctica's ice, if entire lineages of microbes have lived and died there, unnoticed, while human history unfolded above, then we don't have to imagine alien oceans from scratch. We're standing on a planet that already runs that experiment for us. The strange part is not that hidden worlds exist here. It's that we still treat them as footnotes at the edge of the map. One day, we'll drill cleaner, send better instruments, and open more of these rooms under the ice without contaminating them. Until then, places like Lake Vostok and Blood Falls stay mostly off-limits, quiet reminders that even on our own world, most of the volume is still dark, pressurized, and unexplored. Sometimes the most alien landscapes aren't light years away. They're directly beneath our feet, behind doors we've only just learned how to see. Follow Veil Signal for more hidden files from the parts of Earth we still haven't really opened.